Are we live now?
We are live.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. This is the meeting of the Finance and Compliance Committee, 20th of November. Apologies for absence, Ian.
Apologies from Councillor Angela O'Connor.
Thank you. Declarations of interest? 0. Minutes of the previous meeting. Is everyone happy with those?
Sorry, Chair, I probably do need to give a declaration of interest, just personal. My kids attend Oystermouth School, and they've got a grant application in here that one of my children might be involved in, so I better declare an interest on number 12 there.
What's the most school? Which grant is that?
Grant application.
No, that's not happening. Okay,
Oh, no.
I'll take it anyway. I'll put it down, and
Okay.
I don't think that's proceeding.
Okay.
Plug has been pulled on it.
Okay, sorry.
So sorry.
Sorry, I thought you don't mean Whitestone Primary School.
No.
Because it's Oystermouth Canto, but not Oystermouth Primary. There's nothing for it, Oystermouth Primary, is there?
Oh, it's sorry. I thought I read. It's my dyslexia that is.
That's okay.
Oystermouth Primary, not.
Okay, all right. That panic is over.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it isn't.
Yeah.
So we're happy with the minutes of the previous meeting. Outstanding actions from the previous meeting. Now, let's find those.
Would you like a copy, Chair, or? Yeah, I could
You
go.
got it there? I've got it here.
Oh,
Action, no, I found it, it's okay. Before we go through the action points, if I could just say good evening to Mr. Hayden. And have you a specific point you want to make at the meeting, Mr. Hayden, or do you just want to sit through the whole thing?
Mr. Hayden, can you unmute yourself? Would that be okay? Thank you.
I've got no specific point. I'm just here out of curiosity.
That's fine, okay, we'll carry on. You're welcome. Okay, action points. The first one was with regards to the Austrian working group and to liaise with the steering group to obtain budgeting figures in relation to the Austrian for the November committee meeting. Well, that's been dealt with at full council. So it's gone beyond us now. But anyway, Carrie?
Yeah, I do we have the minutes and action points? I'm sure they're somewhere, probably
Yes.
in a folder that I've yet to find.
Yeah, I've got it here, but I was fortunate enough for our committee serving officer sent them to me. So what date did they come out?
I don't. Would it be helpful if I forward them to everybody via email? Would that be helpful?
Would you
That
like
would
to
be
have them?
helpful, yeah. Because I mean, you know, you asked if the minutes are okay, and I'm still trying to search, thinking I can't find them.
Yeah, they're in the Teams folder, Carrie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's the complication of watching something and trying to look at the folder at the same time.
Just bear with me a sec.
No worries.
You might get it off the email you sent to me.
That's the one I'm just going to forward. I hope it's still there. I'll find it.
Yeah. Just to say, in my Finance and Compliance Committee documents general is coming up as empty,
Oh, okay.
which is probably why I couldn't find them.
What the hell is that bill then? Bear with me a sec. Photograph council meeting. Okay. I'll just send them to you. Okay. If you
Oh,
just give us
thank
some
you.
figures. Would anybody else like them or?
Yes, please. I'm also seeing an empty folder on Teams.
Okay.
Yeah, send to all in here, I suppose, yeah.
I'll just send it to finance and.
Yeah.
You have a look at that. Details on the plans.
All right.
There's 9.9. He's looking for. But we could take it down to 8,250. Remove the one from here to the skate park.
Where would we from here?
To the skate park, because there's one in the police station.
I think that's everything, hopefully.
Okay. Okay, are we ready to proceed? You're on mute, Carrie. You're on mute.
They haven't appeared as yet, but if you just talk through them and I'm sure it'll all make sense to us.
Well, we're on the action points.
Yeah.
And the first action point was in connection with the Austrian working group liaising with the steering group about the budget, but we've dealt with that at full council.
Ah, got it.
Yeah. So can we move on to the second point now then, please? Right, the second point, the RFO to send out budget proposal forms to committee members with a view to budget being agreed in the November meeting. Well, those forms have gone out and hopefully we'll be able to look at that as we progress in the meeting. Item number 3 of the action point, RFO to identify parameters of evaluation for MCC budgeting from an outside body, and I'll ask Paul now. The evaluation, Paul, you've had one response, haven't you?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I went back to Alan Thomas, who did a review of the council or evaluation of the council back in 2020, and asked him if he could provide a quote for doing a review of how the council has implemented the recommendations from his report. And he's come back with a quote saying that The council now wishes to commission a further review of the outcomes ensuing from the recommendations of the 2020 report and establish how far it has been possible to implement the recommendations and whether any further changes may be needed to the structure, processes or staffing arrangements for the council. So that's the brief that I gave him, and he's happy with it. He can carry out that work, that evaluation, by a review of documentation and by he suggesting 6 in-depth interviews. He's suggesting interviews with the clerk, RFO and the council chair, and then 3 other councillors to be interviewed as well, to be identified. He'll produce a draft report, which will obviously come to the council then before the final report is delivered. The quote he's provided is £2,001.78.
That's very precise.
I don't know whether we can go for the 178, but sure, we can negotiate that with him. And he can do the work early in the new year. I think if this can be agreed at December council, I think he would start doing some work in December, and then the bulk of the work will be done then in January, and hopefully report back in February or March. The budget is 3,000, so it's within the budget. So I think it probably needs a recommendation to council, but as it's not on the agenda, it's just an action point of maybe we need to put it on the agenda for next month's meeting, which I think you said is the 4th, Chair.
Yeah, I think it's
4th of December.
4th of December. It would normally have been on the 18th, but it's felt prudent to bring it forward. But that'll be done by agreement. We'll rubber stamp that this evening. Anyway, Carrie?
Yeah, as it is quite a bit under budget, and to make life easier, I would suggest all round, if we could suggest that Alan does interviews with 4 other councillors, and that we suggest that those 4 are the chairs of the committees. That way then it saves any arguments about who's going to be interviewed and who's not.
Oh, as though there would be arguments, I don't know. That sounds an agreeable idea to me. Well, what we'll do, we'll put that to a vote now. First and foremost, are you in favour of the fee for Mr. Alain Thomas to do the evaluation?
I guess it'd be slightly more if there's adding one more,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd probably be maybe up to 2.5.
Okay.
Maybe not that much.
All right, but it'll have to be ratified by full council anyway, but are those in favour? Okay, right. We got that. We're in favour of it, and it'll go to full council, all right?
We would need to vote on whether we're going to request one further interview to
Well-
and to then recommend that it's with the 4 chairs.
Recommend to council and we get a quote in between them.
Yeah. Well, I'm in favour of that, but we'll take it to full council. In the interim period, we can, Paul, if you could contact Alan Thomas about interviewing the 4, and if you wish to vote on that idea now, well, I'm quite happy to do that. Would you like to vote on that?
Seems sensible.
Well, we must strive to be sensible. I'm in favour of that. Okay, that's moved. Right. Thank you. Action point number 4. The RFO to request the participation of either Councillor Helen Nelson or Councillor Mike Parkin in assisting with the quarterly financial reviews. Have you had anything back from them, Paul?
No, I overlooked that one, Chair. Apologies. I'll do that for next month. So if we could carry that one forward, please.
All right, we'll defer it to next month. Item number 5, RFO to obtain quotes from the Gower Electric Company and compare tariffs with those provided by the City and County of Swansea. Have we
with
had
that one,
anything?
with that one, Chad, I'm trying to find out the usage for the centre. So once I've got that figure, then I'll be able to do the request the quotes and then do the comparisons. So again, if we can carry that forward, please.
Yes, yeah, done. Carry forward, Ian. Item number 6, the clerk to review the council grant policy. I can't speak on behalf of the clerk, but the clerk has been extremely busy, and I've not heard any progress on that. So perhaps we could defer that to the next meeting, please. All agree? Yeah. Item number 7. The CSO is to write to the head teacher of Whitestone Primary School requesting additional information with regard to their application. That has been done, but there hasn't been a response, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chair, yes.
So we'll leave it open in the time being.
There was half term, which
Yeah.
I did send the letter before half term, but being because of half term, there's been a bit of a backlog.
Yeah. You've not heard anything, Paul?
No, nothing. I haven't seen anything coming in on that, Chair.
Okay, Rebecca?
Yeah, I spoke to the head of Whitestone relatively recently, and she was, hoping for an outcome of that application. So I'm surprised to hear she's not responded to an email requesting further information. Can I suggest that we loop in the link governor? So that would be Pam Erasmus, just to make sure that we get that information in a timely fashion, because I know the head is awaiting an outcome.
I'll do that.
Yes, we'll do that. Ian will chase that one up. Thank you. Item number 8, action point. CSO to write to Heartbeat Trust UK requesting additional information. That was with regards to the locating of additional defibrillators in Mumbles. And it's a grant application. The grant was for £9,900. I was present at a meeting with Mr. Gilbert and Ian, and one of the proposals was that a defibrillator be located at the skate park site. And one of the things that came out from this discussion was that we move the defibrillator from here to the skate park site. Reason being, there's one next door externally at the police station. And that would then reduce the cost of the grant, excuse me, to 8,250 as opposed to 9,900. I think the CSO circulated the plans with regard to the locations of the has anyone not had them?
Are they attached?
No, they're not attached like this. Ian sent them out before.
I think I sent about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
by
it
email.
was about 2 weeks ago, Carrie.
But they are attached to the teams as well.
This is on the actual agenda, isn't it?
It's on the agenda further on. We'll come back to it. Okay, let's move forward and we'll pick that up.
In the meantime, have a look at it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dig it out.
And the other thing, there was the RSO, it's a typographical thing, the CSO should be. include in the next agenda for the community and social. This item number 10 was in connection with the pavilion at the Mumbles Bowling Green. We had, there was £5,000 in the community and social budget that had been allocated, and following a meeting with community and social last week, it was decided part of that fund would be used for a quantity surveyor to assess the physical condition of the actual Bowls Pavilion. As you're probably aware, we've been waiting for a community asset transfer for a considerable period of time, and the CSO has written to City, or rather the clerk actually wrote to City, and she was then put on to some other member of the City team. So anyway, there's no more to report. Following on, Francesca was present at the community and social meeting, and she has had some discussions with various people there in connection with the pavilion. And it was felt that community and social would progress it to appointing a QS to have a look at the building, because what we were trying to avoid is taking over a building that's in such poor condition that we have no budget to spend on it. So I think it'd be quite a good idea to do that. So anyway, that's being handled at community and social. Okay.
Chair, if I could interrupt for a sec. The updates were sent on the 2nd of November, hopefully to all the committee members. I've resent them for your convenience now.
Thanks, Ian.
Which that was
That's the heartbeat, Chair.
yeah, I've got mine, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sorry, Ian. Yes, I have found them. I just hadn't put them in a folder. But thank you.
Okay. Well, we'll be revisiting that anyway. Right, the next action point 11, CSO to write to Sunshine Lotus Yoga for a little bit more information. And I think that has been forthcoming, hasn't it?
No, they haven't got back to me.
They haven't
Chair.
got back to you. All right, they haven't got back to Ian.
Oh, hang on, I beg your pardon. They have got back to me.
Yeah.
What I meant was, I requested additional information and they haven't replied to that request. So.
So that request.
No.
Yeah.
They got back to me initially, but there was further information required.
Yeah.
And she hasn't got back to me in relation to that.
Just for clarification, on the grant, it wasn't quite clear as to why the grant was being made, other than the fact it would have been a nice sum of money. But what we wanted to establish was, well, who was going to be benefiting from this grant? The purpose of the grant, obviously, it has to be community driven, not just a business project. There are so many yoga businesses in the Mumbles area, and we were a little bit wary of granting it unless there was something particularly special that the community could get the benefit of, and that could be those that could ill afford to pay, possibly. Carrie?
Yeah, I do have. I had quite a lengthy discussion with Amy Booz, the LAC, about this, which obviously it's on the agenda item wherever. I could give some feedback there, or do you want me to feedback now?
We'll do it later.
Okay.
We'll get rid of these action points and then we can get back to the agenda. So 13 is another action points to do with Mumbles Rugby Club. What I can tell you on this one, the chair of the Mumbles Rugby Club is currently away. He's in Mexico, and he will be getting in touch with the CSO upon his return.
Right, yes.
Item number 14, Councillor Will Thomas was to liaise with the architects, seeking their views on the opportunity for the Austrian Centre to hold vegetable sales.
No,
That's what it says, councillor.
no.
So I didn't know you were an expert in vegetable.
Did I?
No,
I have got many talents that even I
it
don't
came
know of.
came about when we were discussing Kai
No, it
tea or something.
No, it was to put a pickup box, potentially
Yeah.
a delivery box, like a parcel box in the back, and we will pick it up with the architects. I did forget,
Right.
I'll do it.
Okay. Right. Now let's go back to where the I'm trying to find the agenda. Okay. Right. That's the outstanding actions out of the way. Item number 5 on the agenda, budget monitoring report. And the reports have been attached. You all happy with those? Yes. Item number 6, the budget 2024-2025. And I'll hand you over to the RFO for that. Paul.
Thanks, Chair. I did circulate, or Ian circulated for me, a draft budget spreadsheet earlier in the week, but I'll share that screen with you, so you've also got it as well. If I can remember from last week's meeting how to do it. Yep, here we go.
Done.
Right. Hopefully you can all see that. What we ideally what I would like to do so that we can get the a budget report to the council in January is if the committee can be happy with the budget that's being proposed to council for next year at tonight's meeting, then you can make that decision to recommend to council. But obviously, if you do have a meeting on the 4th of December, then there's another opportunity there as well. So if we don't get to the stage where we've got an agreed budget for the committee, then if there's further work to be done, it can be done before that meeting. So what I've got on that spreadsheet is the actual expenditure for each cost code for 22-23, the original budget for this year. I've had a go at what I think the revised budget is going to be for this year, and looking at it, I don't think there's any changes other than the Austrian Centre, obviously where some money's being invited in from contingency for the match funding of grants and also for the second stage of Down to Earth's work. So what the committee also needs to think about today, I think, is if you're happy with that revised budget for this year, and then what your budget you want to propose to council for next year. I've already put in 250,000 for the Austrian, which I think was agreed at council last week, or
Yeah.
It was suggested that it could be 250,000 in total in 1 year, or it could be spread over 2 years. Maybe the way things are going, we are moving quite quickly on the Austrian, so I think maybe there may be a need if it needs to go in next year to go in as one lump sum. But obviously that will make potentially a big impact on what the precept is going to be. Or we need to look at other ways of funding it, like loan. But again, that's something that can be decided at council when we look at the budget overall. So I'm not sure Chair, whether you want to go through each individual item. There's not a great deal in the budget for the committee for next year.
The only thing that perhaps isn't shown is the the 15,000 brought forward from earmarked reserves?
Yeah, that will be added to this year's budget. So it'll be onto the revised budget. So it'll be in that square. There was an underspend on the grants last year, mainly because the Grange grant of 20,000 wasn't paid until this financial year. So that 15,000 was brought forward, and then five was used from the current year's budget. So really, I think things like Mumbles Traders and West Cross Youth Club, I think wasn't that agreed last year for 3 years?
Yeah.
So I think they probably should go in again. And I think all the other budgets probably are fairly standard. I think we are spending more this year on training courses than we have previously. So I guess
Sorry to interrupt you. The hybrid meeting equipment and licenses, does that need to be in there?
It's in there because it was an actual expenditure in the last financial year, Chair. So just to show that the total picture for the last financial year. The only thing you potentially may need to put in is some maintenance.
Yeah.
We are having some problems with the either with the kit or with the screen itself. So I guess maybe there's a case of putting an amount in there for supplies like new cables or if we have to call out an engineer to look at it.
Okay. Right. Well, thank you for explaining all of that. If I can just ask the committee now, is everyone in agreement with pushing forward the proposals that we had last year? Carrie?
Yeah, I might have dreamt this, but I seem to remember we had a conversation about the training budget, and I kind of had a vague idea that we agreed that we would need to increase it because we are using it more than we have done in previous years, or was that just something that was discussed informally? And I'm just making it up. But
No,
I just remember having that conversation somewhere.
If I remember.
Hmm?
I think it did go up to 8.
Yeah, I thought we had increased it. Yeah.
To 8,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, that explains it. There was something that I think it might have been not last council before, but I think it actually said 800, which confused me slightly.
Ah.
But 8,000 does make sense now. Yeah, we can increase that. Is that for the current year or for next year?
Next year.
Next
Yeah.
year.
And the other thing, which again, I thought we'd had a conversation about, but again, maybe it wasn't in this meeting, was that for the hybrid equipment, perhaps we should pay an annual maintenance contract. Because otherwise call out fees will no doubt be extortionate.
Yeah, I know Kerry did take that to council. I think it was meeting before last. I don't know what the outcome of that was. Was it agreed to take out the contract? Or
that's what I can't remember. I just remember that we did have the conversation.
Okay, I'll pick that up with Kerry tomorrow.
Yeah, because I think that's the safest way to do it, isn't it? Rather than just having to have ad hoc call outs.
Yeah, from memory, they were quite expensive, but I think they're as you say, they're one-off call outs, so even more expensive.
Yeah.
Can I just bring in, before we go to Phil, if I can just bring in the CSO, just to give some clarity?
Yeah, just for everyone's benefit, it was the meeting before last, and Kerry did raise the point of having a maintenance fee, but there was some confusion, including my own, because I'm liaising with SA1 in relation to the maintenance and the workings of the hybrid system, and I had an appointment with SA1, which I went to, which is still ongoing for a number of issues, particularly the recording of meetings and the transfer of those meetings. But really, it was a separate issue, and I think it got a bit clouded in the meeting before last, because the maintenance fee is a separate issue to the actual running efficiently or otherwise of of the system, whether it be the recordings or whatever. So I think Kerry was going to bring that back to the next full council meeting
Okay.
for that to be discussed again.
Okay, right. Phil?
No, that's absolutely fine. It's all been covered.
Okay, all right. So are we in agreement with these proposals to be put forward for 24-25's budget? Yes?
So, you,
Are we all-
sorry, Chair, you suggesting the same amounts be included in next year's budget?
Yes. Yes, with
With the addition of the Ostream you're talking about there, right, Paul?
Yes, yeah, that's
Can
yeah,
we-
yeah. They,
Can we not give Mumbles Traders 85 grand?
pardon?
Sorry, just a little typo on the Mumbles Traders grant for a minute there. But I could see Paul Whitaker getting excited.
Mumbles traders are shown at 8,000.
No, yeah, they were 85. Sorry, Chair, I've changed it now.
Yeah, I think the 250 for Ostream, and then we'll see how the budget goes on the night. But I think, as you said earlier, it is moving fast, so it would be probably a bad idea to reduce that. But it does give us some dry powder.
Yeah, one thing I was going to ask on that is that 250 meant to be just match funding, or does it also include the costs that we'll be paying for the design team as well? Or is that on top of the 250? Like the costs for Down to Earth and Child Sulzman and all the other contractors.
That's a good point actually, Paul, because it only takes us up to planning stage. So then if we go on, it takes us past planning, and then if we go past and want a project manager to put the build tender out, then you make a good point. Maybe we should pick that up urgently.
Yeah. Or yeah, I suppose it depends on at what point we're looking for the grant funding to kind of, because what we don't want is to find ourselves in a position where we're incurring significant costs for the architects and everything else before we know whether we're actually going to be able to get grant funding or not.
Yeah, that also is a good point. I suppose that's grant fundable then at that point, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah.
So maybe that cash just sees us through and we can claim it back. We'll claim a percentage based upon it back later.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I would think of it mainly as match funding, although some of it, I mean, as was the case with the skate park match funding, some of it did have to be used up front, but ultimately it was the means by which we got the grant funding.
Yeah, I think listening to Chris at the working group last week, I think as soon as we've got a cost, that's when we'll know. That's when you can start putting in applications. So we will know then. I don't know how quickly after, but I think potentially things, if the grants do start coming in, then things, as I said earlier, things could start moving quite quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Happy to
So
move
again,
on?
Well, there may be an argument. Do we put another 50,000 on top of that, or do we assume that it's going to be part of the 250,000 will be used for the design team and all the rest of the RIBA stages?
Should we find out how much that's likely to cost first, and then circle back? I think.
Okay, I'll contact Down to Earth and find out what
I would
what that's
say
likely to be.
I would be reluctant to, having won over full council with the 250,000, I would be reluctant to then go back and say, oops, sorry, what we really meant was 300,000. I think we would get a lot of kickback. I think at this stage we probably are better off being grateful for the fact that we got the 250,000 through and not muddy the waters.
Yeah, and not a squeak. Yeah.
Yeah, so-
I agree.
Yep, 200,000 is a reasonable match funding amount anyway, I think. So yeah, there is a case for for rolling it all up into one figure.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Item number 7, it's the councillor review of the bank reconciliations.
So, sorry, Chair, just before you move on, can I ask that a recommendation is made to council and that this budget recommend that this budget is put forward to council?
Yes, please.
Okay, can you
Yes. Take a vote?
Got a vote here. We're all in favour of it, I think.
Can't see Rebecca. No, she's right.
Francesca?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Chair. The next item, we've covered that under the action points, Chair. So I don't think there's anything on item 7.
Yes, thank you. Right, we'll move on to item number 8, and it was the grant application for the Whitestone Primary School. So that's work in progress, and Ian, perhaps we can contact Councillor Erasmus to see what's going on there. All agreed with that? Yeah, okay. Item number 9, Heartbeat Trust UK is the grant application for additional defibrillators in Mumbles hotspots.
Yeah, just one question from me, Chair, on that is just are we their only source of funding for it? It looks like it, so.
Yes, he didn't disclose any additional.
No, there's no additional funding. No, there are separate grants available. There's one across the, for example, along the walk, the promenade, which is a separate one. And that actually, that is one of the reasons why, when you look at the list, the first one, that's already been provided.
So yeah, but my question really is like, why are we being asked to pay for 100% of it? Is there, I was under the impression there was national schemes and things that we can.
No, there's no overarching. Mr. Gilbert came along to the office. There's no overarching body that monitors it. Hence, there's no map for the whole of Swansea with all the individual defibrillators. So there's different charities. There's the Tommy Cooper one. There's this one. There's other ones. They all work independently, and they're quite competitive. So the information we have is purely from him, and we have to fill in the gaps to a certain extent. For example, the chair pointed out there's one, I think, at Newton Garage, for example, which is on the map. So
he did provide a list of defibrillators in the Mumbles area, and the one that was missing was the one on the gable end of the news agents in Newton. The garage one was.
Oh, it was there, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was the one that wasn't shown, which is in the Newton Village Hall.
That's not my question. And my question is, why are we being asked to pay 100% of the cost? Isn't there some grants that the Heartbeat Trust can also access?
No.
There's no mention of that. Sorry. Okay, Rebecca.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point that I guess we're only being asked to pay for 100% if you don't consider any of the other defibrillators that are on the map.
Yeah.
So although it's 100% for these 5, it is now, isn't it? According to the new information we just had, I think it seems reasonable that, given that the coverage is actually now getting to be so good that, these are strategically placed, aren't they, to make sure that there's nowhere that's a sort of a black spot. I think considering the amount of work that's gone in over the years with the Heartbeat Trust and others, it seems reasonable that MCC does make its contribution, although I do usually agree on the 100% thing. I think in this case, looking at the bigger picture, it's, in context, we're kind of plugging in gaps rather than paying for 100% of the project.
Barry?
Yeah, it was pretty much the same point, just to say that they do say that so far the total cost has been in excess of £50,000. So if you look at our contribution in the context of how much they have already spent, then I think it's a not unreasonable additional contribution to what they have already spent. So I think we can look at it that way rather than seeing this as 100% funding of something.
Okay. what's the councillor's view of relocating the defibrillator from outside the Austrian Hall to the skate park?
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, there is one outside the police station, just a stone's throw away. And by doing that, we would reduce it from 9,900 to 8,250, if you were in agreement with it.
I'm happy with that.
Can we have a vote on this, please? Those in favour of it? Well, okay, it's for a very good piece of equipment, let's be fair. And the other thing, of course, there will be training provided where necessary at no cost.
Yes.
So we like that. Right, item number 10, the Mumbles Bowls Club grant application. This is for the maintenance of the green, which has nothing to do with the Bowls Pavilion. And there was an element of, because there are 3 organizations that use there is the original Mumbles Bowling Club, there is the new Mumbles Bowling Club, and there is the Croquet Club. So the grant, it was for clarification, was going to the 3 clubs, not just one club. But it's for the maintenance of the green. Are we in agreement? Or okay, well,
Yeah, I think it's you know, we're trying to get an asset transfer of it. I think as soon as we do, we can look at this in a bit more detail about maybe even taking on some kind of management of it ourselves somehow. But until that point, yeah, I think we just we support and carry on. Thanks.
yes. Yes, I think it's worthwhile. Right, moving on to the
Sorry,
next item.
did we get an answer to what our question was? I mean, all the others we asked, we're saying, oh, well, you know, we want more information.
Yeah.
Did we get anything back?
Yes.
Yes, Ian will speak now.
Thank you.
Basically, the query was, Mumbles Bowl Club, was it going to be shared between the 3 different bodies? And actually it was in the application. When I checked the application before writing, it was already in there. So I checked with the clerk and the chair, pointed it out, and they were both happy that I bring it back, or we bring it back to today's meeting.
Okay, so we're confident that they're not going to be charging
That's right.
the
Yes.
other clubs fees for grounds maintenance, which I believe is the case at the moment.
That's right.
Okay, we're all
Okay,
shall we vote in favour of it then? Yes? All in favour? Thank you. Right. I should have a gavel here, you know. Item number 11.
There's one in the cupboard, Chair.
I'm only teasing. I don't need props. I don't need props. Item number 11. Well, this is the Sunshine Lotus Yoga Grant application. And there we are. Look. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Will. Ian contacted this group because we were concerned about the fact that we might be supporting a business, and it left the door open for lots of the other yoga groups to come forward and make a similar application. So because of those concerns, the lady was informed, and we've not had a reply back.
That's correct, yes.
So we've not had a reply back.
but I have
So-
had a conversation with Amy the Lack, who is very, very strongly in support of this because of the benefits that it brings. This is a she's not a commercial, I mean, she refers to herself as, you know, a certified teacher, but she basically works with people with very specific issues, as well as a sort of broader people well-being. You know, she's not in it to make money. She's wanting to look at being able to offer something that will be of no cost to the people who will be using it. It's to enable anyone who wants to, and apparently it is hugely welcomed by the people who attend at the moment. They really, really appreciate the fact that they're able to go, and if they lose it, it would be a real loss to the West Cross residents.
Right, thank you, Carrie. Francesca, and then Phil.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm not all in support of these initiatives and projects helping people who might be recovering for different injuries. But my only issue that I do find is that we do have a lot of businesses in Mumbles, whether that's fitness or physiotherapists, what have, and I feel that we're going to start opening up a can of worms here where we're almost, I know, I appreciate Carrie said it's not sort of like a business, but I feel like we're going to start funding businesses. Now, I'm all for businesses, I'm pro-business, as many of you know, but, you know, we also turned down other applications where they were offering a similar sort of thing, and they offered to actually go throughout the different wards under Mumbles Community Council, and that was turned down. So for me, I find this, I'd like to support that, but I think there's a very fine line here that we're going to start having more applications like these and essentially propping up some businesses to the disadvantages of others. So I think we really do have to be careful. That's just my opinion, but I do think we have to be careful here. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Phil?
Yeah, I think we're reiterating the same conversation we had last month. Just to point out that this is this offer is made at the Linden Wellbeing and Christian Centre. What is being proposed, although it might not come across clearly in the grant, is obviously something that would fit in with the raft of support programs that they provide for the community. It's basically out there to help the mental and emotional well-being just as much as the physical well-being of the users who may not be able to do yoga as a as a normal paid class or whatever. This is for people who are of a different, more diverse dynamic, I suppose. Now, that may not come across in the grant application, and obviously we will need to encourage the lady who's put that in to make that much clearer. But this actually comes very clearly under one of our well-being outcomes, and fits in very nicely with the Future Wellbeing Act. In regards to businesses, I'm not aware of any specific yoga businesses out there offering this sort of offer in community centres or otherwise. Having said that, I'm quite happy to be corrected, but this, as I said, is a part of a raft of things that centre is providing to support the emotional, physical and mental health well-being of the community. Thanks.
Thank you. Will?
Thanks, Chair.
I just wanted to make the point. The lady I dealt with and wrote to, who replied, was called Rachel. I'm just wondering the assistance, Chair, if Carrie gave me her contact and I could liaise with that person directly, would that be appropriate? Or
yeah, I don't see why.
I mean, it was the local area coordinator who I was talking to, Amy Buse, who is obviously supports people right across the MCC area.
She doesn't work for yoga for us then. Sorry, I got the.
No, she's paid by City and County of Swansea.
Oh, okay.
She's a local area coordinator, but has used this class to be able to refer people who are, as Phil said, not in a position that she doesn't run an ordinary yoga class. Each individual person is able to.
You've had a crack.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to explain why Amy spoke to me.
Thanks very much. We're not shutting you out, Carrie. We dread the thought It's just that the CSO had written to the applicant and the applicant hadn't come back. So we'll have Will next and then Rebecca. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. I think, you know, that it's all well intentioned, of course, right? And to Phil, just touching on Phil's point at the end, and we don't want to go over the whole meeting we went over yesterday, so I'll try and keep it brief. But to Phil's point at the end, if other people were aware that MCC was subsidising yoga, Pilates, everything, and every teacher in the whole area would jump on top of it and say, oh, well, I'm going to do a free yoga class in Newton, and I know it's going to be full, you know. So I think what we're straying into what the NHS's responsibilities are and what they also provide, because the GP referrals, exactly. There is the opportunity for these sort of things. I don't think, though, I'm sure we'll have to pick this up again, but in this meeting right now, until we get a reply from the questions we've asked, we cannot make a decision on anything. So I'm going to park it there, and I'm sure we'll pick this up again.
Thank you, Will. Rebecca, please.
Yeah, I agree. I would say it's all about kind of evidencing, isn't it? The community fit that also runs at that centre as part of that programme that Phil referred to. I don't think you can really understand the diversity of people who are able to access it until you've been there. So I had an absolutely cracking time doing a session with them. And if anybody kind of wanted to know more about this, you know, the impact that their programme is having, I would really recommend that. So if we're chasing up for more information, perhaps it's worth one or two of us popping along at some point as well to see it in action.
Yeah,
I pay for yoga, unfortunately, but I would like
Thank you. I'd just like to make the point that we had an application from a previous business about doing yoga on the beach, and they were we were a bit concerned about what qualifications they had, and you'll probably remember this, Phil. And there was well-being, PTSD, and so on, ex-servicemen, but they were unsuccessful in their grant application. So, you know, we need to be consistent. So if we defer it till we hear from the person concerned, and if you can send that lady's...
yeah, I'll send it to you.
It's the applicant we're dealing with that we need the answer from, not a representative of city.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Everyone happy for us to move on now? Yeah. What's my and it's item number 12. It's another grant application. It came from the Oystermouth Panto, and there were one or two issues with this one, and the manner in which the grant had been applied for. The sum varied considerably to the point that anything would do. And having spoken with Elaine, it would seem as if it's a non-starter, that's this application. So I think we can close on it. It's not going to proceed. And item number 13, it's the Mumbles Rugby Club grant application. Now the chairman is away. He's away on holiday, and he's going to contact the CSO on his return. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And I think we've completed the agenda. Any other matters?
Yeah.
No. Well. Oh, yes. Are you all in agreement with the next finance meeting being on the 4th of December? It's on a Monday. It would normally be the 18th, but we were thinking that you may be wanting to get into festive mode around that date. So if it's agreeable to you.
I'm more than happy to agree, Ian. The only thing is I'm not yet sure as to whether or not I'll be able to attend on that date, but I'll keep you posted.
Well, thank you for all that.
I'm
Rebecca?
happy for you to move it as well, but I will have to give apologies, I'm afraid.
Okay,
But I'd rather give apologies on the 4th than the 18th.
yeah. All right. Okay, well, that's it then. We'll send out the agenda and everything for the 4th, and we will look forward to welcoming you yet again. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Paul,
Bye.
would you mind staying on for 2 ticks? Would that be
Yeah,
okay?
that's fine, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will.
See ya. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, Will.
That's all it was, Paul. You know
The
the item number 7, the bank reconciliation and employee data update.
Yeah, it's
That we dealt with earlier. Where? Can you tell me when that was dealt with?
You still
It was in the action points.
I just stopped recording.
It was in the, and I asked for it to be carried forward because I hadn't emailed Helen or Mike yet.